what would you consider your weakness in climbing? Like what are your bits that you disappear quickly and you go, oh, when I go back to that, that's going to struggle?
I mean, according to the Lattice test, it was my biceps, right?
Yeah, they weren't as
Yeah.
they look big.
But there's nothing in them. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's no, my weakness has definitely been just like tiny crimps, like technical stuff, low percentage things. That's always been my weakness. That type of climbing, I usually feel much better on if I'm a little bit lighter. So if I go on like a climbing trip to Spain or something and lose a little bit of weight, then I feel a lot better on that specific style. But when I'm at home like this, doing all the training stuff, I feel terrible on that style.
How do we get swole like Magnus? How do we get a Adonis like big chest, big biceps? What are you doing, Magnus? Is it a genetics thing, or did you do a load of weight training?
I think it's genetics. Honestly, I always tried to be light. I always felt like I was too heavy for climbing, so I always tried to cut weight, and I think that's why I look probably more ripped than some other climbers. It's just because my body is naturally a little bit bigger, and that's too heavy for climbing. So I always had to like kind of pay attention to my weight. And I also think that I enjoyed doing like challenges and trainings and like one arms and all that stuff, all the party tricks. I enjoy doing that. So I think I did more of the training part of climbing than probably a lot of other climbers, who only climb. And I mean, that is the best way to progress. If you want to become good at climbing, you should just climb. But I also enjoy doing a bunch of one-arm pull-ups and all that stuff. I mean, some of the best climbers can't even do a one-arm pull-up, but I don't think that's important. It's just something I enjoy doing. So,
could you do them easily when you first started trying them? Was it like something that you went, oh, actually, this is quite a relatively easy access exercise to me versus other stuff? Because I noticed like with certain climbers that like the elite end, some just have it very quickly despite not spending a lot of time training it. Others can put a bit of time into training it and they still kind of struggle with it.
I did my first one-arm pull-up pretty quickly. I think I was 12 years old. I'd only been climbing for like a year. So I've always been like pretty talented at like strength stuff.
Yeah.
Not so much at like technical stuff and taking advice and all the other aspects of climbing I've not been that great at, but this just like pure strength I've always been pretty good at. And that's probably why I've enjoyed it so much too. I think we all enjoy doing stuff that we feel like we manage.
Yeah, and get a good
just like you guys, like you guys with the chant climbing or like hand jamming and stuff. And it's really fun when you feel like you mastered something.
Yeah, for sure. It's something I always like to say is that it's really addictive when you get mastery in something, and it's hard actually to pull yourself out of it because you kind of just want to do more and more. It's a question from Movement for BJJ. What do you do for pinch strength and thumb strength? Is there anything particular you do for that?
I haven't really done anything. I think it's more just I've always been pretty strong at pinches and slopers and compression and all that. So I've probably climbed more on that. And I know that's always been just my strength. So it's not something that I've focused on because when I was competing, when you're competing, you try to be as diverse as possible. But if you climb outside, it's sometimes good to be more specialized because then you can choose one route that really suits you. But for a competition, you have to be diverse. So I was not very good at it, but I tried to be diverse and I tried to work on my weaknesses, and his strength was not my weakness. So didn't really train it that much.
Yeah. What's your hand size like? Are you looking for arm, long fingers?
These three fingers are almost the same length.
Oh,
I have a tiny pinky. It's really small and crooked. And I guess my thumbs are pretty normal. So
yeah.
I think for a climber, I have pretty normal hands.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, pinching and compression, all that, it's also a lot about like just your body and like upper arms, shoulder, and back and all that stuff. So I feel like maybe it's more of that. I don't know.
Stian, who I was talking with this week, another, really good Norwegian climber coach and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was saying that you're absolutely crushing it on some Norwegian TV, like superstar athlete thing where you all come together and like battle other pro athletes.
Yeah, the show is called Mesternes Mester in Norwegian. It means champion of the champions. So it's a bunch of retired athletes. They compete in a lot of, like different competitions. Some of them are just like thinking, like a mind game, and some are really physical. And each week we're like one left. It started with 10, and now we're only 4 people left.
Oh, that's amazing. I always like it when I have friends or other athletes that I've worked with over the years, and they go across into other things, like either other sports or try some of these game shows that are, not those kind of ninja style things. I really am always fascinated with how much does good climbers transfer across into other things. And did you go into that? And you obviously met all these other athletes and thought, actually, climbing set me up pretty well, or did you think, no, it wasn't that useful?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was one of the youngest people on the show. It's like everything from, I think the youngest was 31, and it's up until 53. So there's a big gap between us. And obviously, I mean, it's hard to say who was fitter in their prime time, but overall, I felt like I was surprised that I could keep up with the other athletes in some of the disciplines that I thought I would have no chance in. Just like endurance, I never thought of myself as like having good endurance, but I think I was able to keep up reasonably good. So, and also some of the disciplines I thought I'd be good at, and I did horrible. So, it was also the other way around. I don't know.
Yeah, I always think the climbers are a funny bunch because we're particularly good in certain ways of moving and kind of strengths and stuff like that. But then, I mean, I always laugh whenever we do stuff like, with like national teams and we do group exercise, and people have to do these coordination based things and a bit more kind of running around on the floor. And climbers look so wooden, like didn't do sport for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I know. It's also like, I remember back in the days we would play soccer for warming up. If there was a soccer field outside the World Cup venue, we would play soccer like before or after the competition. And I mean, we're not that good with the ball. So I don't know. There's some things like balance and also endurance and just being light and pound for pound pretty strong. I think that's something that correlates to at least this competition.